I'm visiting with the Reverend P. Gerard O'Rourke, or
better known as
Father Jerry. Yeah, Father Jerry. And I met Father Jerry how many years ago? I moved to the Bay Area in 2002. So what, 17 years ago now?
Yeah, right.
And Father Jerry was at that time the chair of the board of the Interfaith Center at the Presidio. So he was a very important person that I needed to make sure that I got to know and respect. And now thinking about all the stories that I've heard from Father Jerry over the years, and I'm thinking I really want to hear more about this. And one of the things that, you want to say hi? You just want to say hi to everybody?
Hi, everybody.
Thanks for doing this.
Yes.
Thanks for doing this.
I was almost going to, you know, I've been in hospital so much lately. It was actually your age. May 27, 1925. I'm 93.
All right.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Oh, yeah, really?
I know. I know.
Yeah, well, I'm on the edge a lot of the time.
Well, I'm glad you're here on the edge with us.
Okay.
So I want to hear about, you have told a lot of stories about going to Northern Ireland and working on things there.
Well, one of the things that I did in my life is I did the S training.
Yeah.
And I found it to be very useful. It really opened up my language in the sense that I saw the power of language, and that came to me largely because how well taught the listening was in that process.
Okay.
And so I became a good listener. I still am a good listener.
It's important.
Oh,
super important.
See, that's how I have been seen. When I was just talking to you before we got serious right now, we were talking.
Don't be too serious.
we were talking about my interest in forgiveness, and just seeing that this was a gift from Jesus, not to us Christians, not to us religious people. All you had to be was human.
Yeah.
Forgive us as we forgive those who trespass against us. Now that was an eye-opener for me when I saw that you know, that how dare I put limits on that. And then I began to see also to delve into the whole word of forgiveness, and to see that how do I get the power of forgiveness into my language? And the thing that came to me for that was to see, the question was to shift it about do I have to feel forgiveness and all that? None of that. It's am I willing to forgive?
Okay. Okay. So even having an intention.
And see how that really, most of us humans, and this is not a reflection on bad or anything, but most of us think that forgiveness has to do with feelings. No, it doesn't. It'll heal the feelings.
Okay.
And it was never meant to do anything except to heal the feelings. But and so then, are you willing? Am I willing to forgive?
Okay.
And it's still a huge breakthrough for me.
It sounds like it was. It sounds like it was.
Right.
And did that lead then to you going to Ireland? Is that how that happened? No? Oh, I got it all wrong.
Well,
like I usually do.
No, that's not true.
Thank you.
At least it wouldn't be my experience of you.
Thank you. So tell me more. Tell me more about this process of forgiveness.
one time, Werner Erhard's work was, personal, one-to-one. But at a certain point, he began to see that it has a power for the institutions that we belong to. And so people like from the police, people from the guards in the prisons, the teachers, doctors, all those institutions. And he had a conference up in Napa when they were all brought together, and the religious, there was 5 of us invited.
Oh, okay.
That
you
he
and who else?
got to. Basil Pennington was.
Oh, I know that name. Who's that?
He was Centering Prayer. If you ever.
Oh, okay.
Ever got Centering Prayer?
Yeah. Okay.
He was one of the greats.
Okay. Yeah.
You talk about Father Christmas, 6 foot 3 or 4, white head, and a white habit. He was a Cistercian. And
a real presence.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Oh, huge. Yeah, right. And there was a Episcopal. I was there, invited. There was about five or six of us. And at the end of it, I said, "My God, why weren't we invited as a whole institution?"
Yeah. Was that because of the forgiveness piece of it, or just the listening, or the whole?
No, it was the very fact that we were recognized.
Yeah.
As
and included.
As an institution.
Yeah.
Like medical institution.
Yeah.
Like teaching institution. And
as a profession.
So we went to Werner and said, "Listen, you've got to make sure that we're treated properly as an institution." And then out of that, the Mastery Foundation was created.
And what was that?
That was the coming together of, the initially leaders. There wouldn't be leaders in the sense of archbishops or anything like that, or they could be. There was room for anyone who was, but pastors and teachers and so on. And then we created a course to teach this stuff, and that was called the Mastery Foundation. And we started. The name of our system was "Making a Difference," a course for those who minister. And
was this just in San Francisco, or was this all over?
The world. The world.
All right. Why not start big?
And at that event, there was 60 of us. It was in Massachusetts somewhere, and there was a couple of bishops, and including Otis Charles was the Episcopal guy, and then there was another one too, and then there was one or two Catholic guys too. They weren't prominent guys, but they were bishops, and it was a great course, and it built up, in the language. You got to the point where you were so immersed in what was going on that you were then asked to declare who you were.
Oh.
I love that word.
What did that mean? What did that mean?
Well, let me just tell you.
Okay.
When it came to my turn, what I had to do, I was shaking actually.
Wow.
I am a man of forgiveness. And then the next day, I found I had to live up to that. And that's how I got deeply into it, and saw the power of it. I have helped to make that. It's now a part of the forums which are all over the world.
I've done that.
Yeah.
I have.
That's what if you did it today, you would find a very important part of it would be forgiveness.
Oh, I know it is.
Oh,
I've been through that. Yes, I have.
okay.
Yeah.
And that was one of the great privileges of my life. At the moment, there's a group of guys, mostly back east, who have been in the first stuff we have was, I think it was 86 or 84.
Okay.
That's when our first Making a Difference course was.
Okay.
And we've done it all over this country. We've done it all over Ireland. We did it in England, several places also. We did it in Africa once.
Really?
Right. And but it opened up the space also for us to engage and make a difference in Northern Ireland, in turning the breakdown into a peaceful area, you know.
That's a huge thing.
It was.
Yeah.
It is. It's so huge. You see, most of the world, you know, where they have been blasting one another, at a certain point they give it up and then start working together. The one in Northern Ireland is still working, and that was 99.
I know. It's amazing to me how that was such a terrible situation there, and now it seems to be holding peace.
Holding its own. Yeah.
Yeah.
Really.
So, do you attribute that to some of the?
Oh yeah, because Werner then came and did a whole series of conferences on that in Northern Ireland.
Okay.
And you know, when we started there, I mean, the first one we had was in a.
Am I going to get into a shot or something?
Yes, you will be on camera.
Nothing matters. Okay.
Fair enough, because we have to see the A's to A so soon.
So what did forgiveness look like in that context? How did you approach that?
Come on, we're going to do some
Well,
things. Come on. Come downstairs. Yeah, we're going to go do some activities. Come on.
you know, it's the kind of breakdown stuff that's in our lives, and that when we acknowledge that it happens, am I willing to forgive who I thought needed forgiveness? The forgiveness. It's like that. It's just looking to you. Where in your life would forgiveness be useful? Now, Susan, you probably never had any difficulty with this stuff, but it's possible.
I can tell you stories.
Oh, you know.
I can tell you stories.
Tell me a story.
That's right.
Okay, all right.
That's right.
I know. We all have, you know.
That's right.
And it stops us from really developing our lives.
We were talking about listening. Is it part of just listening to people's stories and their pain?
Oh, it's essential to be a listener.
Yeah.
Well, listen to ourselves even.
Well, yeah, I know. Isn't that the truth?
What did you say?
What did I say?
What did
I just do?
Did I just commit to forgiveness?
What did
Oh no!
Oh yes. Yeah.
So, and it's to be, what summed it up for me was the declaration, I am a man of forgiveness. So
I have experienced you as that from the first time I met you. You have always expressed that and challenged me and others always to think about, who do I need to forgive? And I love your point about it's not the feeling, but it's, am I willing to forgive? Yeah, I like that a lot.
well, that's really incredibly important for humans, because when you get stuck with the feelings that you have to feel forgiveness, you can't we weren't designed for that.
Yeah.
The designing is to feel.
Exactly. And forgiveness is one of those tricky topics, isn't it, in Christianity? We so often feel like, well, I have to forgive.
Yes.
I just have to forgive. And sometimes we think we've forgiven, but we really haven't. Or we won't. I just won't forgive.
I have 4 questions about forgiveness.
Oh, okay. Okay, let's hear them.
Are you willing to forgive?
Okay.
Whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so sometimes you can't imagine what people have to forgive sometimes. One of the big eye-openers I got was when I was faced with the funeral of someone that I really had a great admiration for. She was a 90-year-old woman, and she'd walk into the chapel or church or wherever we were having a mass, and she was just, you think she ruled the place.
Okay.
And then she died, and after her death, for some reason, I met her mother and her husband. You couldn't believe the physical difference between the two of them, the mother and the daughter.
Oh, yeah.
It's like she hated her mother.
Oh, no.
And it turned into, it showed up in her body.
Oh, no.
But at least she did have the mother buried and so on.
Yeah.
So that was it. And then she told me that 65 years she hated her mother.
Oh, no.
And then I asked her, well, would you be willing to forgive her now? She's dead, so, but are you willing to forgive her?
Yeah.
And she went through the forgiveness process. And in the process, she physically changed.
Mm-hmm.
She became like her mother.
She was liberated.
She was liberated.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So things like that were happening around forgiveness.
Okay. What's the next question? Are you willing to forgive?
Are you willing to forgive? And when you are able to say no or yes, remove. If you don't say no, stay with it,
Okay.
But if you say yes, then are you willing to forgive totally?
Oh.
Now, what totally means, that's all the items that bother you about this whole thing.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
When you can say yes to that,
Okay.
then now are you willing to forgive absolutely?
Mm-hmm.
That is to let go. That's all it means to untie your shoelace, like that. So willing to let go, to let go. And when you can say, are you willing to forgive unconditionally?
Mm.
And when you can forgive on those 4, you will be healed.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
You physically even, never mind spiritually,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the whole person, right? It affects the whole person.
Right.
That's pretty powerful stuff.
And the reason I did, if I hadn't done the word and stuff and the language and so on, was, see, our minds are real sneaky.
Yeah.
I don't know whether you noticed that or not.
Yes, I have.
But you could kid yourself by saying yes in the beginning. All right.
And then you take it back again, right?
Well, you
I've done that.
You never did it in the first place.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so that's one of the things that you avenue would put on it. You just totally I forgave.
Yeah, but I haven't forgotten.
No, forgotten. I haven't even forgiven.
Yeah.
This.
Mm-hmm.
Hiding it,
Yes. Yeah.
And then the other, I was trying to shut down our little crazy minds,
Right.
so that you can really get there is forgiveness.
Okay.
Okay. And now that's being developed. Those 4 question stuff are being developed into a single day conference or what do you call it?
Seminar, workshop.
Seminar, yeah. And they're going to start doing it, first of all, for, well, there's two things. People who have done the work in the Mastery Foundation, but the other thing is the people who are in chaplaincies.
Oh.
This is a huge shift in our world of religion. You know, religion actually is going on very happily in some ways, and one of the ways is with the chaplaincies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I, in the beginning, I was a little annoyed, you know, for leaving us out. We clergy.
Yeah, yeah.
I said, okay, shut up. Get off it.
You forgave them.
Right. Yeah.
Sometimes in chaplaincy they're less constrained by the rules and things that we think we have to live by.
We just, that's, we made everything scarce.
Yeah. Yeah. We have something to learn.
There's nothing scarce in Jesus.
I like that. Yeah.
Anything he stood for was not scarce.
Yep.
Now,
Exactly.
these are the things that, you know, that I take into all aspects of life, including the interfaith stuff.
I was just going to ask you about that. How did you bring that back into, because you have been involved in the beginnings of United Religions Initiative, the beginnings of the San Francisco Interfaith Council, and the beginnings of the Interfaith Center at the Presidio.
Yeah.
These are all three pretty big institutions.
You know, when the Interfaith Center at the Presidio, when that became available, it was in danger of being bought over by some secular outfits, including a choir, which was a good choir.
Okay.
But I says, no, this is an interfaith. Now, and you know, in 1932, when it was built, it was built as an interfaith chapel.
For the Army.
That was forward thinking of an immense quality. 1932.
About that. Who would have thought?
That's right.
Right.
There was nothing like that going on. And of course it was forgotten because later on it became the Protestants. And then the Catholics built their own church.
That's right.
You know,
That's right.
I don't know, did you Lutherans just...
We didn't even know what was going on.
Oh, okay. All right.
Takes us a while.
Took us a while.
But anyway, that's
So
really
you were part of the getting the chapel turned over to the interfaith.
I was the one who insisted that it cannot go to anything except the interfaith
organization.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, was this before the San Francisco Interfaith Council, or was that happening around the same time?
No, the Interfaith Center, the Presidio, came after the Interfaith Council was alive.
Okay.
Before that.
Yeah.
That wasn't in. It's headquartered in there right now.
Right, and everybody gets them confused.
But it opens up the space. It opens up the space for it to be interfaith.
And they have flourished.
Oh,
They flourished there.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Well, it's great to have a space that's interfaith, a sacred space in a city like San Francisco. We're probably more gifted than almost any other city.
Yeah.
You know.
I know. That's the beauty of it.
And I saw the whole vision of it from the beginning, and particularly that it was San Francisco, because there is something about San Francisco that it's special for the human race, even. You know.
Yeah. It is a special city.
It is, yes. Things have happened. You know, you had Clyde, for instance, that the poor, what do you call them, the Methodists have a problem with. But imagine the good work it does.
That's right.
You know,
Absolutely.
like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, right.
Yes.
Touch the hearts of any human. The United Religions Initiative is a safe space for you to be.
Yeah.
All you have to be is human.
That pretty much takes care of it.
Right.
I could sit and listen honestly to you telling stories all day, but I know you've got other things to do this afternoon. You've cookies to distribute, I've heard. There's a rumor. Is there anything you really wanted to tell me or Megan or your new audience?
As long as I want a bigger audience for forgiveness and how available it is for us humans.
I like that. We can use that.
You know, whether you're religious or not, all you have to be is human. And for sure you will bloody well need to forgive someone or some outfit or some group or some neighborhood or, you know.
Country.
Oh, yeah.
Political leader.
Right.
Oh boy, now we're in trouble. But this is where it gets hard. But you never said it was going to be simple.
Did I say it? I don't know.
No.
I mean, the challenge of having to forgive Mr. T.
Yeah. Yeah, that's where it hits. That's where it gets, right? It's hard. That's the hard part.
Right.
But that's like you said before. What would Jesus do, right?
Oh yeah.
That sounds like a popular phrase, but that's what it comes down to, right?
Oh, it is what? Yeah. Well, that's. Yeah, that was what inspired me was Jesus, the words of Jesus in all kinds of things, but especially in forgiveness.
Yeah,
so vital.
I think it's a great message for us today.
Really. Okay, is that enough for you?
Thanks, Father Jerry.
Can I ask you one more question?
You can ask me any question.
I think a lot of people, when they think about interfaith work, they think about trying to learn about other people's beliefs.
Yeah.
And I think what I've heard from you is that interfaith work can also be rooted in strengthening your own belief.
Oh, yeah.
Because when you're strong in your own belief, you don't have to change someone else's belief. And I wonder if you can talk about that a little bit.
Well, my job with anyone else is to give them permission to be the way they are. See, the way to love someone is to love them the way they are, not the way they should be.
Wow.
That's very Californian, to be.
Yeah, but I like it. I like it.
Okay, but you don't. You have to just give permission to the other to be the way they are.
Yeah.
That's kind of what forgiveness is too, giving someone permission to live their life despite their past.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I think it's great.
There's nothing dismissive in what Jesus was up to.
That's right. We could learn a lot from Jesus.
Yeah, well, absolutely.
We could learn.
And exaggerate if you want to a little bit.
Well, maybe that's the future of Christianity in our church. Maybe if we get back to really paying attention to Jesus, for real, maybe there's some hope for us.
Absolutely. Yeah. There's no question. See, that's what Francis is desperately trying to do for us.
Yeah.
I was when I was 90. I concelebrated with him in his chapel.
You did?
Yeah, I asked to go and visit him. And so we concelebrated.
I'm speechless.
John Paul also, I did a couple of times with him, but Francis was a whole other world. And I told him, he spoke to everybody after the Mass. This is when he says it in his own chapel, Casa de Santa Marta,
Okay.
And he also invites 25 people from one of the parishes of Rome.
Okay.
He's the Bishop of Rome, you see, and bring their pastor. And, wonderful.
That's pretty special.
And then after the Mass, he met each one of us individually. And I told him, I said, you are loved in San Francisco. And he grabbed me into my left ear. He said, please pray for me.
That's beautiful.
It's started zines ever since.
Yeah, I bet. He has very soft hands. I got to see him in audience.
Wow, I'm in really exalted company here.
That's right. As soon as he becomes a saint, we'll both be relics.
Oh, right.
Relics.
Right, oh, yes, that's
Yeah.
right.
She knows.
Oh,
Whenever she speaks.
really?
Yeah.
Okay, was that enough?
Okay. Oh, well, I don't know. Any more questions?
Well, I wondered if you wanted to tell him what he means to you. You don't have to do it with the camera on, but you've told me a lot. And I wondered if you wanted to tell him.
Oh, well, sure I do.
Yeah.
Well, number one, you were one of the first people who welcomed me here in San Francisco when I came here to do this crazy interfaith doctorate of mine, not even knowing what that was all about. And next thing I know, Paul Chafee has me at the Interfaith Center. You know how he would collect people. I was his latest find, as Rita would call me. And there you were as the chair of the board. And so from the beginning, I was hearing about forgiveness. I was hearing about sacred space and about listening. So I have been steeped in that kind of language and have just respected you so much for how you have lived out those values in your life. I've seen you do it. I've seen you work it. I've seen personal relationships, and it's been a wonderful role model for me. Absolutely. So I won't call you a saint, but in the Lutheran sense, because we're all saints and sinners at the same time. So how's that?
Yeah, I have no trouble with that.
Oh, okay.
We Irish, we canonized our sins.
Yeah.
We didn't wait for Rome to do it.
Oh, I know those Irish. Yeah, they do it their own way. All right. Well, St. Jerry, thank you so much for this time.
Okay,
it's so valuable. Thank you. Very precious.
Thank you, St. Susan. And St. Megan,
St.
who's
Megan.
sitting there quietly.
Yeah, and that's something unusual.